So the drama continues for the BYU Cougars and the Utah State Aggies. Matt Glade joins me. Matt, can you try to define the collective gasp and sigh and just terror when Chucky Keaton went down in the first quarter?
It's one of the bigger gut punches I've ever seen in a live game, at a game that I was actually at. You know, I wasn't there last season when Taysom Hill got injured at the end of the game, but just the wind went out. You know, Craig Harrison, Zach Vigil, they talked about it a little bit in the post-game show, and it's Harrison especially said it was like watching a brother go down, and it was just a really big emotional toll. They had to pick up and get going, but you could tell a little bit that they just could not get over that emotional hump a little bit. It seemed to be just right there with them. They couldn't sustain drives. They couldn't keep Taysom Hill and that BYU offense off the field. They let him convert third downs all day long. They let him go downfield. They bid on play action. They couldn't stop him. And just you could see that emotional toll, it was there, and they couldn't get over it.
When Taysom Hill went down last year, BYU fans didn't necessarily know about the injury because he kind of shook it off. He hobbled around a little bit, and it was so late in the game, I don't think a lot of fans even realized when Chucky went down. I mean, it was almost an immediate reaction from the coaching staff and the teammates. They knew something was bad.
Right, and it wasn't like the Utah game where you saw him, but he hopped right back up with the cramps. You could see that they were stretching out. You kind of knew what it was because you kind of saw it throughout the game that he was cramping up a little bit. This was a lot different. And for it to happen when it happened, because it was the first quarter, it wasn't like it happened in the third quarter and Craig Harrison had to come in for just one quarter and try to hold on for a win or anything like that. They were already down at that point, and they were asking him to come in cold against a BYU defense that's been really quite good. And one of their bright spots all this season, throughout all their struggles, they've been really good, and they just could not put it together offensively. One of the things I talked about leading up to this week was BYU is really good at not letting teams getting into the red zone. They'd only allowed 10 visits by opposing teams into that red zone, and that was something Utah State could not do. They were really good at scoring in the zone, into the red zone, but they could not get there, and they could not put points on the board. And if they want to win games from now on, they have to figure out a way to put points on the board without Chucky Keaton on the field.
It looked to me like Utah State was really going to focus on Taysom Hill not beating them with the run. They stacked the box, and they did a great job. They did not allow Taysom to run. I mean, he's been averaging nearly 150 yards a game, but he had negative yardage through most of the game because they were able to control him, they were able to sack him. But again, that single coverage out on the corners really allowed Taysom to make some throws. And the throws that he has not been able to make all season, he was able to make tonight. What happens now for Utah State? Craig Harrison, we saw, is he one of those guys that they're going to be able to groom and to warm up with a week of practice? Or do they maybe look at taking the red shirt off of, the special freshman and say, hey, maybe this is the guy we go with?
Yeah, we asked that to Matt Wells in the post-game press conference, if Craig Harrison is the guy, without a doubt, moving forward, that's going to take this team through the Mountain West Conference. And Matt Wells said quite bluntly that this is something they're going to have to look at as practice goes on. And if Craig Harrison's not getting done, with what I know of Matt Wells, what I've seen, what I've talked to him through practices, he won't hesitate on putting the guy who's going to give them the best chance to win. And we know that he's really high on Darrell Garrettson, their freshman right now, and my feeling is they really don't want to take that red shirt off of him. They really don't want him to play because, they want him to be the guy after Chucky. But if he gives them the best chance to win, and from what I've seen and from what I saw his progression during the fall, I think he might be, because Craig Harrison, you cannot run the read option with Craig Harrison. You can with Jeff Manning, but Jeff Manning struggles throwing the ball and completing passes. And I think Darrell Garrettson moving forward probably would be the best option for them to try to win games, but I just don't know if we're going to see it.
So the question is, do they look at Chucky and are they playing toward the future? Because if it is what we're afraid it is, an ACL or an MCL or maybe even a combination of both, he may not even be ready for next season, at least 100%. Do you take a chance? Because that's exactly what they did with Chucky. They took a chance with him as a freshman. Is that a bold enough, or is that move too bold?
I've always said, all things being equal, you go with the younger guy. If he is your future, and if he is going to be the guy moving forward, why not start him right now? Why not get him the reps right now? We've seen with Chucky what getting reps early on in your career can do. We saw leaps from year to year because of all the reps he had early on as a freshman. So if Garrettson is their guy moving forward, and they know that Chucky's going to be out for, maybe a year, depending on how serious the injury is and what the recovery time is. I'm of the opinion, play the young guy, get him the reps, get him on the field, let him develop chemistry, let him develop leadership and the intangibles you need to win moving forward.
An incredibly disappointing turn of events. We were so excited for this college football season because there were three very young quarterbacks that we thought we were going to be able to follow all year long and actually probably for the next couple years. So some devastating news coming out of Utah State, but nevertheless, there's some season to continue. There's still games to be played, and each side, BYU and Utah State's got to figure out how to win their remaining games, even if it isn't at full strength. So from Logan, I'm Dave Noriega for Matt Glade for SportsBeat.